All right, on fucking real, we're doing a second segment that we're going to be putting at the front of the podcast because we've just finished the podcast, but someone, I'm not going to name any names, forgot to push record. So we got up to Brett's introduction, and but I've got the boys here from Rise Up, and I just want to introduce them. Just a little bit about yourself. Josh, I'll let you go first, mate. Just for those at home, who are you and how do you get here? And what does mental health mean to you, man?
Yeah, so my name's Joshua Ellard, and essentially my journey was about 5 years ago. Hit rock bottom again. Was living a life not serving myself or those around me, turning to drugs, alcohol, leaning hard into work, trying to be the best at what I was, and wasn't really being true to myself or learning about myself. And hit that rock bottom, and I realised it has to be me and it has to be now. And I had to make some changes, so I started to lean into a little bit of personal development, and I started going on this whole growth journey, which led me down to diploma in life coaching, hypnosis, neurolinguistics, and the breathwork now. So my journey within healing myself, and I'm not fully healed. I think it's a continual journey, but me working on myself led me to a place of like I wanted to help others. I wanted to hold that space because I didn't have that around me. So continue to build up that community to help people out and just normalizing these conversations, you know, because for so long it's been such a taboo subject, especially for men, to talk about their emotions and their feelings and mental health, that we just need to fucking change something. So I just wanted to be part of that movement. Yeah.
And those who are going to stay in tune with this, man, hypnosis, we're going to get back to that because I know that's what we're going to talk about. It's like I'm a fucking fortune. Like I feel like I know the future. What about you, Dave? How did you get here, mate? What brought you here? A little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, so my journey really started a couple of years back when everyone's lives got tipped on their head as well when COVID hit. I was a senior site supervisor for an electrical company, running a big team and diving heavily into work, high stress job, relying heavily on alcohol, drinking every day. And yeah, real tipping point was had to leave that job for obvious reasons. And that's when I went on a journey of self-discovery. There was a real tipping point there where all my coping mechanisms and all that sort of stuff were really playing a heavy role in my life, controlling my life, and I was neglecting my role at home as a husband and as a father. And that was there, like I touched on before, was the tipping point was my wife telling me she felt like a single mother. So I just want to hit rock bottom and things had to change. Had a lot of pain in there that was getting covered up by a lot of things. And tried a lot of different modalities, meditation, all that sort of stuff, but just couldn't get to the bottom of everything. And then, breathwork found me. And here we are now that, went through my own journey, still going through my own stuff too.
Yeah.
But, dove in, did a facilitator's course and, here to guide me on the same path. And I think that's what it's about is once you've walked that path and you know how hard it is, you want to be a signpost for the other men, showing them the way. Not taking them up there, but showing them how to get there.
For sure. Well, if you want to share, bro, we'll do. Well, I mean, we'll introduce Brett a little bit more through, bro, but we're coming back to that, mate.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah.
So my journey's been a staggered journey, so to speak. But probably I'll start when I was probably 17-ish. When I got my license, things sort of took a turn. Started going out with the boys and hanging out. Started experimenting with drugs, and that was a downhill slope very quickly. And I battled that for a good 8 years. And then even when I got clean, I would say it was another 7 to 8 years to try and get my life back on track. So
when you say battle, are you talking like recreational?
No, everything,
are you talking like fucking?
Yeah. I touched on it at the workshop. Like there was a point where I was homeless. I lost everything. My career. Yeah. So I actually had a really good opportunity. I left school and had a career opportunity in real estate. That all went downhill. So it was a very slippery slope, and it happened really quick. But it wasn't just that; it's everything else that comes with it. You know, I lived that very fast lifestyle and everything that went with it.
Yeah. How crazy is it that? Because I can relate to that as well, man. To the point of like, you know, I mean, my drug of choice was always cocaine. Yeah. And it's such a glorified drug, you know, and like you can remember like fucking having lines and you're like, this is cool, you know, and but then before you know, if you don't get a grip of it, it can really turn into a fucking gutter drug as well, you know? Well, I guess it all is really, but...
Yeah, and I'm the kind of person that doesn't do things in halves, so I was all in.
Yeah.
I never wanted it to end. You know, when everyone was sort of, they'd be finished for the night, I'd want to keep going for days and days. So I'm always looking for that one person to hang around. And then eventually they didn't, and I was just doing it by myself. When it got really bad. So yeah, that was just one part of it, but everything else that came along with it, and making just horrible choices. And like I said, it was a very slippery slope, very quick. And everything else came with it, like losing mates and stuff like that, and losing everything really. And like what Dave said, I lost myself completely. Yeah, considered myself to be, you know, very confident, happy, social person, and I just went the opposite. Isolated myself, withdrew, and that became my way of life.
Why is it that us males fucking have to hit rock bottom before we, you know, is it a lack of our education in the schooling systems growing up? Is it what's been passed down from, you know, I know it's such a big question, man, but like,
a good question.
It's a fucking great question. I'm sure we've all got different answers to some respect, but you know, like, it's such a shame, man, because sometimes, you know, it takes to hit rock bottom before we wake up. But like you say, and we all know people, and especially even in our men's wellness community, it's like some people don't get to fucking wake up.
That's right, man.
And you know, and I guess this is why you know, I've got this podcast too, man. It's just try and build, and why you guys run these workshops and why we're all doing it. It's because we're trying to build these bridges and the communication and that behind it. The knowledge that's out there. But yeah, man, it's such a fucking. Well, what's your guys' point of view on, like, why do we have to hit fucking rock bottom?
Like,
man?
even hitting that rock bottom, right? It's interesting because I look back now, and it's like probably the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah,
some of the bottom.
True.
But every experience has created who I am today, and who you guys are. All your experiences created who you are today. So I'd never go back and change my story. But I look at it as like when I hit the bottom of the barrel, I sort of just got to this point where I realized to make change, it has to be me, and it has to be now. And everything just flipped like a switch. Everything had just changed. And I think it's because the pleasure needs to be higher than the pain. So the pleasure versus pain status. If it's something that's like not going to be pleasurable enough for them to give them the motivation, then you sort of won't ever do it. But when you got so much pain, like, you can't really go much further than that, other than beyond that in itself, which I've been close to. But yeah, it's quite amazing the journey to then climb out of that. So I don't know. I saw it as the biggest motivator to actually make me do something. Yeah. Had these things not happened, then where would I be today?
Yeah. Do you find that? I also find that, like, once you sort of get yourself out of that uncomfortable place, like, for instance, like, you know, going into Rise Up men's workshop, like, sometimes the hardest part, we talk about this all the time as well, even going into gyms and things, you know, like, the hardest part is actually just signing up and showing the fuck up.
100%, mate.
And then once you sort of get through those doors, I mean, you guys create a beautiful space, and I think everyone does, all the different workshops and things that I've done, you know, like, yeah, I think plant-based medicine's a little bit harder, but but like I just think once you're in there, and once you've done it, man, like, you fucking you sort of can make it your new addiction.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah, you definitely can.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it's so many different things lead into it. I think a lot of social conditioning, where as men we've grown up being told not to feel that certain way. Don't cry, boys don't cry. What are you crying for? A lot of us grew up with fathers with heavy hands and booming voices and put the fear into us. And I think for me, I was scared of my emotions, if I'm really honest. That's what it was. I was scared to feel it all. So it was easier to push it down and numb it until you do get to that point where, shit, I could lose it fucking all. I could lose all of it if I don't do something about this. And that's where, like you say, with the pain versus pleasure ratio, you're like, well, what's hurting more? It's hurting me more now to be where I am rather than doing something about it. So that's where that motivation comes in. And there's so many facets to that question. But I honestly think for me and my personal journey, it was probably my conditioning and how I was brought up to not feel everything, and I had certain relationships with emotions that just push it all in.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretend like you're okay. Put that mask on like most men do.
Yeah.
And being in the construction industry, you see it day in, day out. Men coming to work, putting the mask on, and it's always the one that's smiling.
Yeah,
there's the one that might not be there tomorrow.
Yeah, true. I mean, we spoke about it before, and like how because I'm going through a bit of a rough patch myself at the moment, man. Just everything's going fucking great for me in my life. Everything's worked out. Like everything I'm sort of manifesting and the path and direction I want to go down couldn't be any more perfect. The universe, even like through breathwork, even the breathwork I've done with you guys, the universe always reminds me like, what more do you fucking need, Dave? Everything you're asking for, I'm giving to you, you know. But you get these worldly expectations on yourself that are driving me fucking mad, you know, especially that, you relate things from the past when I had a business and money, or you could be doing this, you could be doing that. But, and I'm going through this balance of that with myself. And when those times are tough, and they're fucking tough, we were talking about it before, like all this work and all these people I know now in the community and stuff like that. Yeah. It's just hard to navigate, man, you know, in those sort of situations. So when you're talking about being on a construction site or having family, whatever's going on, like when you're in the thick of it, what's your point? Maybe Brett, you can answer this, bro. Like when you're in the thick of that hard place of depression or anxiety or whatever you want to call it, man.
Been through those.
Yeah, bro. Like,
So, what do you do?
How would you navigate yourself out of it, man? Well, like, what's your experience been in those sort of dark places?
Yes, I think we spoke about this just before, and I didn't have those resources. So for me, it was probably a prolonged experience more than it needed to be, because I didn't know anything about anything, and that's a big reason of what we're trying to do here is bring resources to people. It's a good question. I'm not sure I really have the answer. I think the way out is through. So you really need to sit through it and feel into it. That's probably the best way I can answer it. The way I did it was coping mechanisms, and only one, drugs was just one of them. Same as Dave, overworking, sitting with it, feeling through it, processing it. That's probably the best answer that I can give.
Yeah.
And try and become aware of your patterns as well and those coping mechanisms that you choose, and see if you can replace those with something else. That I relate to what you were saying before. When you feel like everything, like from the outside, when everyone looks at you, like, man, this guy's got everything. And once I'd cleared all my trauma and gone through everything, I was still feeling like that. Internally, I was struggling, and I had a lot of success. I was reaching all my goals, but inside, I felt empty and hollow. And that's kind of comes back to what we're talking about. You just really need to sit with yourself, feel into what's coming up for you, and work through it.
Yeah.
And there's different ways you can do that. Breathwork's one. Journaling was a big one for me. I think I mentioned in the workshop, there's that stigma that men don't journal. Bullshit. It's fucking powerful.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be there doesn't have to be rules. You can just get out a piece of paper and just start writing.
Talk to me about your journaling, bro. Like what do you do when it comes to journaling? Is it a daily?
So it's not something I do anymore.
No.
But it was really powerful when I was really in the thick of it. And as I just touched on then, I didn't have any rules to it. So I went and bought three little booklets, and they were all for different reasons, and I had little writings on them. And I picked the one that felt right at the time, and sometimes just let it flow. Sometimes you're writing like just little dot points, it might be a few words or sentences, and then you might be writing just pages and pages. It's just like crap's just flowing out. There was times I was going through my breakup where I was just feeling like struggling, really frustrated. Words weren't coming out, so I just scribbled. Like it was just darkness and anger and frustration coming out, and I just scribbled. Whatever you need, just let it flow.
I think like gratitude's a huge one as well, man. I notice when I start doing that in the mornings, it's like just get the fuck up. Like when you talk about your morning routine, checking in with yourself, and then just write down some stuff that you're fucking grateful for, man.
That was a big game changer for me as well. Once I worked through all the heavy stuff, and I was like, okay, now I need to just start creating good habits for myself. I tried my best to at least once a day in the morning is probably the best, but I also tried to finish my day as well. And write down at least 3 things that you're grateful for specifically for that day. And it's so powerful.
It sounds a little bit corny, eh?
It
Like,
does,
yeah,
but
really
it
does.
works, man. It works. And so it's not just on a woo-woo level. It primes your reticular activating system, which works as a filter and tells you what's important and what's not.
True.
And so what you'll do is if you do this for a period of time, you'll start to look for the good in everything. Because if you start your day that way and you're like, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that, and then every day it becomes a habit, and you start looking for the good in everything. So it actually changes the way you think, creates new neural pathways in the brain. So it's not just woo-woo, like there's physiology behind it.
Well, it's a little bit like that red car theory. Like,
Yes,
that's
it.
the
So
radical
that's what your reticular activating system is. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Like, you're looking for a car and you're like, I fucking never saw those cars ever before. And now I see them on
They're everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah. True, man. That's cool.
Yeah. It goes deeper than that. It's like you looking for that evidence. You ask your brain what you're looking for, and it will give you that evidence.
Confirmation bias.
Yep.
So if you are seeing negative or your negative thoughts, that's all you'll see. You won't see the good stuff going on.
Yeah.
There's good things happening around you. You just don't understand it. But then you switch it using gratitude, powerful practices, switch your mindset. That's how I did it. I did a therapy called snap therapy.
Okay, what's that, man?
Used to wear bands around my wrist, and every time a negative thought came up, I would snap it.
Yeah,
and
right.
replace it with a positive thought. So what that did is it created a physical anchor, and anchoring is a thing we use in neuro-linguistic programming. So snap the anchor, create a positive thought, and then it doesn't matter if you don't believe the thought yet. That new real thought doesn't even have to be true yet. If you keep telling yourself something over and over again, it will become your reality. The brain doesn't know what's real and what isn't.
So just to run that through, if anyone's like listening at home going, fuck, I'll use that. So you get like a rubber band or something.
Yeah, get some rubber bands, put them on your wrist. Whenever a negative thought comes to the mind, you can sort of just snap the band. And that's not for a pain indicator, it's just for a physical anchor. And then essentially just
It's like
replace
a pattern interrupt.
Yeah, pattern interrupt, exactly. We use it in hypnosis too. So it's to interrupt the thought, get through the critical faculty in the brain from the logic mind to the subconscious, and then essentially you create a new affirmation in a sense.
Yeah, cool. And so from a how do you say it? Hypnotist? So hypnotizing's very similar.
Well, hypnosis is actually in everything.
Sorry. Yeah.
Whenever we go into breathwork, you're in a state of trance. That's hypnosis. Whenever you go do meditation, that is hypnosis. It's just in the movies, hypnosis is just like hanging something a pen in front of you and turning him into a chicken. But no chooks in here today.
Can you do it now? No.
we'll choose. Yeah. But when someone's focusing on a TV and you're sort of like, hey, hello, are you there? And you can't get their attention. And then all of a sudden they'll come back. So they were in a state of trance, hypnosis. It's the brainwaves theta is essentially the brainwave, which we know about in breathwork too. Which is where the change work happens because you're in the subconscious mind.
Yeah. So you're more suggestible.
More suggestible.
So I think I might be wrong on this, but I think from ages 0 to 7, you're permanently in that state.
Yes.
Which is why kids take things on very easily.
Yep.
And I think you wake up in that state as well.
Yep.
So that's where, if you do your morning gratitude straight away, it's easier to take it on.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
And meditation and things like that.
Yeah.
So I want to know, I'm going to go back to hypnosis.
You like this, don't
Yeah. Well, because I've only ever seen it like making people bark like dogs.
It will be coming up in the next Rise Up workshop. I think we're going to integrate a bit more hypnotic stuff.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah,
because
sweet.
with that whole session, we want to keep changing it so that guys not only that want to come back and keep creating the community with us, but also so they keep getting new learnings. And we keep talking about emotions and trauma and how to work through these things and build that support network. We want to keep introducing new stuff so that the guys that are staying with us keep bringing in more information and keep educating themselves.
Yeah, sweet.
Might just get longer and longer.
Yeah. No, we'll do a whole weekend.
Well, it might be.
That's what we're working towards. We will be doing things like that.
So with addiction, right? And addiction can be going back to your slap the rubber band thing. Mm-hmm. Addiction can just be bad negative thoughts happening all the time. In fact, that's probably one of my fucking worst addictions. Just that talk inside your head all the time. But if we talk about say smoking or drinking or drugs and porn, whatever it may be, hypnosis, how does that work? So that's obviously then trying to reprogram.
Well, so there's different types of
and does it work, man? So for people out there, like, does it fucking work?
Most people are pretty suggestible to hypnosis. Some people just take longer than others. So, like, I don't know if you've ever seen a hypnosis show, like the entertainment, the funny stuff. they're generally looking for the most suggestible people as quickly as possible because they're also trying to entertain the crowd. So you can't spend an hour dropping someone into a really deep state.
Yep.
Whereas when it's just a one-on-one and you're doing hypnotherapy, then you've got the time to really drop them deeper and using different. We have different methods of dropping them in further and further. So there's different styles of hypnosis as well.
Yep.
It goes back to like as far as the 1800s and stuff. Hypnosis was even used for surgery as anaesthetic to take pain away while they're doing surgery.
True.
Until anaesthetic came in.
Didn't know that one.
I didn't
Yeah,
know
so
that.
like that's why they have hypno labour. You
Yeah.
can have a childbirth with a hypnotherapist there. They'll completely drop in and they'll feel basically no pain.
Yeah, okay.
Powerful.
And so, what would you? So, if someone had like an addiction, they're just like, "Fuck," I've been battling with it, and I can't really find any sort of ways out of it. Like this talking therapy, that's not doing it for me. I'm
So
suppressing it.
this is the thing, right?
Yeah.
Drugs and all the alcohol, they're vices, right?
Yeah.
It's the underlying
The trauma.
issue, the trauma,
Yes.
where the issue is. So there is, as we know, breathwork is a powerful process because you get to. It's like having 10 years of therapy in your own head sometimes in that session. But we have things like timeline technique, so actually a hypnotic experience and take them back through a traumatic experience, but actually from a disassociated level. So they'll be seeing themselves, but they won't be in it. And if they do start to look like they're a bit too close to it and I start to see emotions come up, I get them to zoom out. So they're not associated, they're disassociated. And through that, they go through a bit of a journey in what can they learn about themselves. Because, for me, I always thought it was like my dad left me because I was a shit kid. I never met him. I still haven't met him to this day. But, I guess once I'd realised that it wasn't me because he left, and even if it was, that's not on me. Like, why do I need to carry that shit, right?
Yeah.
So timeline technique, very powerful practice where take them through the experience. But this is where Brett said before, you have to go through it. There is nothing to avoid trauma. Like you can run away from as long as you like. You can run away from that storm, but until you turn around and face it, and face your biggest fears, you won't go through it otherwise.
Yeah. Sometimes, and thanks for sharing that, man, because I can resonate with that. I'm actually gone through a lot of stuff with my father and that as well at the moment, and just been reconnected with him actually, by the way, and just diving into it, and it's a whole story in itself, man. We can go there, but it's one to go, and I like that because we talk about that on the podcast a fair bit. It's like all the addictions go away when you're dealing with that core trauma. And I want to get into the trauma in this workbook too, man, because that's what really come out of the workshop most for myself. But so I'm going back to this addiction thing, all right? Let's call it alcohol. I'm fucking drinking all the time. And so you're like, well, do I reach out and do breath work? Do I go to this men's workshop? I think you should do them all, by the way. But sometimes it's one to go, okay, I know the addiction, but I don't know the fucking core. Where is this coming from, man? Because I do feel like if it's your father, okay, cool. You go and front the storm and you go through the storm and you deal with that trauma through breath work or hypnosis or plant-based medicine. And then, it does. You've got this massive weight lost once you've gone through it. And it helps with the addiction, but it's easier said than done than that, isn't it? Like to find that trauma.
So I think there's two parts to it. You've got the trauma. So once you clear that, that's that part done. Then it's finding a new way and creating those new habits. I think there's two parts to
And
it.
the integration part of it after.
Correct.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you've lived that way for 10, 20, 30 years, you can't expect to change that, through a couple of breathwork sessions in a few weeks or a few months even. So it definitely requires some patience.
We identify with our survival identity, and that's essentially what addiction, coping mechanisms, all that is it's our survival patterns that we've created to survive, keep ourselves safe. And we begin to identify with them. We begin to say that's who I am, but it's not. The truth is, any healing journey, self-development journey is a homecoming. You're coming home to who you are really at your core. That person's still in there. And then I think that's why so many people battle with feeling lost. And even once they get into the journey, you touched on it before, like you might be right in the middle of it and you feel worse because now you don't know who you were. But it's about creating those new beliefs, these new patterns, these new healthier patterns going and having the awareness around it all too. So when shit does come up.
And for me, like when going back to before about talking about hitting rock bottom, sometimes you might not know what it is, but I feel like when you're doing these sorts of things, they come up. I feel like even like with any sort of medicine, natural medicine, like, you know, always gives you what you need, you know, not what you want, I guess. And I think, you know, like even with the men's circles, even just sharing with what's going on in your life, you know, I mean, that's huge as well, because you can start going, fuck, you know, he's going through it, or this is what he's doing, you know.
A lot of us think we're the only one going through it.
Yeah.
I'm sure we all do. Like, no one would understand I'm the only person experiencing this.
Yeah.
So when you have, and you've got 10 guys all saying, you're like, oh shit, actually.
Yeah, there's some healing in that,
you don't feel so alone.
Yeah.
There's a lot of power, and it gives permission as well.
Yeah.
It's one of our there's 6 main core needs. Don't quote me to all of them, but I know one of them is definitely like community and that connection.
Yeah.
Without that, like the other ones are like shelter, food, like the core needs. If you don't have community, I think there's a show. There's a I can't remember what it's actually called, but where they go put these survivalists out on the islands or whatever they are, and I don't think anyone's lasted 100 days.
No.
But when it gets to the end of it, people don't say, I've just missed, like, I needed some food, I need this. They said they miss their family.
Yeah, for sure.
It's huge, man.
That's what I'm trying to build with the starting line, is just to get that hub. And now that we got the hub, Good Vibes Boxing Gym, you know, I just want to be, and I guess this is what I'm doing here with the podcast as well, is just like getting all these different resources, and, you know, like you boys with the events that you're putting on, and just bringing it all together and making it that safe place, man, from young to old, males, females, and that community. And not only just doing this sort of work, which is, you know, pretty full on, but also just being able to come together and share
a healthy place for men to come together.
For sure.
You know, what we're talking about, addictions and drinking, most men, they don't know what else to do, so they just go to the pub. Like, what else is there to do? So that's part of this, and what you're doing is amazing, bro. So
thanks, bro.
Definitely, man.
Yeah, we need other options out there than just being able to go to the pub.
Yeah.
And at surface level chats, you know, we're not like we just talked about with the men's circle stuff. Like, that's not going to come up around the table having a few beers. So that's awesome, man. I love that.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Yeah, I mean, it's still early stages as well, and you know, like when you know you're aligned with life, I guess, or the universe, you know, everything just falls into place. It's actually just all falling into place, you know, and so it's been a great journey, but it's, you know, has its challenges as well, man.
No doubt.
Yeah, but
it'll be worth it.
Yeah, for sure, bro. You know, just fuck it. I mean, even having these conversations it's worth it, you know. Yeah.
I love what you were sharing before, like how everything's going your way, like you're getting all these things, but it's just a lot. There's a lot going on. It's very busy, and I can 100% relate to that. And I look back, it was probably about 6 months ago, and I sort of sat back and thought everything was just running too well. And then I don't know why I did it. I was like, I need a bit of a challenge. Oh, fuck, did I get some fucking challenge? Oh, shit. Asking you shall receive, honestly.
100%.
Yeah, and I asked for some challenges, and now I've been thrown in the thick of it, and it just all showed up. It was like, bam, okay. But now I'll work through that. But yeah, it's very interesting you say, like, whatever you ask for is what you'll get. And there's a lot of people out there, they're asking for the wrong things because they don't actually know what they want.
Yeah.
They're asking for what they don't want. I don't want this, I don't want that. But they're not really, you ask them what they do want, and they, I don't really know. So they're focusing on the wrong things.
Yeah, and it's like things are coming up in my life. And like I said to you, and it comes up every time I do breath work or plant-based medicine or fucking, you know, meditation. It's like the universe is just going, you're asking for all this, man, you know? And then when you reflect back, and I think that's what's also good about meditation and you know, breath work and things, is that it also helps you get the clarity around it all. Because I think what becomes hard with it, it's like overwhelming and
That's the beauty about the breathwork style that we work with as well, because it can be used highly in that trauma release, but it can be used for clarity, finding your sense of purpose, who you are, connecting with yourself.
Well, that's what I was just going to say, man. Like, I mean, like you don't necessarily have to come to these workshops to go and fucking going through something.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can have everything going perfectly, and you might want to just show up and meet a cool bunch of dudes.
So let's talk about Rise Up, eh? So what do you got on the cards, boys? Like, I mean, this workshop that you done was that I got to do. What was it? 4 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, about that.
That. Yeah. Fucking great workshop, man.
Thanks, man. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think the original intention was in light of Men's International Health Week, and I think it might have just been for America, but they had Mental Awareness Week as well. And the idea was to put something together, but with the feedback like yourself and the impact that we saw on the people that left, I think every person that left had a great impact and left better than they were when they came in.
For sure.
And this is our passion. This is what lights us up. So
Yeah.
we just knew that we had to keep doing this.
Yeah.
We've got big dreams and big goals about where it could be. We won't speak into it yet, but
So what have you got that you can talk about now then? So you're doing this.
We've got the number. We've got the next
Yeah.
one. So that's August 25th.
Yep.
So Sunday, August 25th.
Yep.
But we learned from the last one, so we've upped it to 4 hours. So
Yeah,
it's
okay.
a half day workshop, 12
Yep.
till 4. So
And
that's
what's
gonna be the next one?
What do these 4-hour workshops involve, boys? I mean, I know what it involves. I've been and done it,
Yeah.
but like for those who are listening and going, yeah, this sounds like me. What does it involve? I mean, look, I know.
So
Yeah.
it centers obviously around the breathwork session.
Yep.
That's the key to it. And obviously, as you know, we'll go through this workshop. And the intention behind this is for people to get to know themselves first, and also for it to open up so that they can tap into what they need to for the breathwork session as well. So the workbook is kind of a primer for the breathwork session, but it's also, you know, the sharing circle is about the community, bringing men together like we just talked about in a safe and supportive environment.
Yep.
And letting men come together in a safe space, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think as well, like our intention was with moving forward with Rise Up as well, is getting the everyday man into that room.
Yeah.
A lot of the workshops, breathwork can, like we say, can be looked at real woo-woo, and it can be real, like guys are real standoffish towards it. And it's just, bringing a different approach to it where you're coming in for a bit of self-discovery, diving inwards, seeing what's really going on for you. And then, building that community, experiencing brotherhood, which is truly, for myself, like brotherhood, getting down to men's circles, getting around that sort of community is what really kick-started my journey from the start. And it's, I think that's combining the two, the breathwork and the brotherhood together, the men's circles. That in itself is where I think the magic really happens.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
it gives the men an opportunity to dive into what's going on with them, hear other men as well, and then do the feeling work behind it. So we talk a lot about our problems, can talk and talk and talk till the cows come home.
Yep.
But really going through it in that space and bringing the breathwork into it, that's where it all starts to come up.
Yeah.
I love how you say like bringing the everyday bloke in, because
That's
all of us here, we're all just everyday blokes. Like Brett, crane operator, like Dave's a Sparky. I'm an ex-digger operator. Now I do wellbeing and hypnosis and stuff. But, you know, we're just normal guys as well. And in this journey, like we might be ahead of some of these other guys. Well, we're not the guru at the end of the day. We're just going to be a part in their step, in their path to get them on their way. So if they come through us and then they want to find, and there's more stuff they want to find more value elsewhere, we would 100% support that, right? Like we're happy to just be that step.
I actually like that too, man. Like you don't necessarily have to have trauma coming up or addiction. So you're just more discovering yourself as well. And I think that's what these workshops do, you know?
Yep.
And I think you noticed that among even just that group that we had at your workshop, it's definitely like you got all sorts of
mixture.
Mixture, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the importance of this, we touched on it before, when you're on that journey and if you're in the thick of it and you're in the middle of it as well, it can get quite lonely. We talked about that. So being surrounded by like-minded men, and as we talked about, rather than going to the pub, being surrounded by people, it makes you feel like, okay, there's someone that I can relate to. We're not actually alone. I think there's some power to that as well.
For sure, bro.
Yeah. But we want to, like you said, we're just everyday men. We want to make sure that we stay in our lane. And touched on it with being a little bit ahead. We just want to impart and share what we've learned. We touched on this when we were chatting before the podcast that, I had no access to any of this stuff. I didn't know anything about anything. I had no resources. And a lot of it was just through learning by myself. And it became a full-time job for me. Like I touched on before with my addictions, I don't do things by half. So like I dove all the way into it, but also fascinated by a lot of this stuff. So it was a lot of self-education, and I just want people to have access to that when I didn't have it before, and I know a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
So we just want to share, we've been through our own shit, and we've been able to work through it. Obviously we still deal with our challenges. We want to share what we've learned. And help people in that regard. That's what lights me up.
Yeah. And also, Dave, you mentioned that you're going through some shit now, man, and and I think and so am I, man, and it's nice to know you got that community, and I think that's what you're trying to build for yourself as well,
exactly,
around like-minded men, and
definitely, and that's the biggest purpose behind it is like the workshop to be more of a gateway workshop as well, like really getting those guys in and kick-starting their journey, giving them somewhere to start from to rise up from where they are, really. And that's really the purpose of it, and community is the biggest thing.
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't end when the workshop ends.
And also like providing a workbook like this as well, like doing workshops previously, you get bombarded with information and all sorts of shit, and you come out and you've done a breathwork session, you're integrating that, and you're trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. Taking that home gives you the take-home tools and support as well.
Definitely.
So I think that's another massive thing that we're trying to push as well, is outside of this as well, is the support going forward as well. You've always got the support. Got a WhatsApp group. Boys are all in there. People are communicating. Guys have connected outside already as well, which is what we're trying to do.
So if you're in that, having that shit day and you're feeling alone, that's what it's there for. You just jump on, and we'll check in as well. How's everyone doing this week or today? But that's what we want to create, is when someone's in that really shit moment, talk about tough times that I went through when I was younger. And I didn't touch on it yet, but I was close to suicide a couple of times, like very, very fucking close. I don't want any man to ever be in that position and feel like he's got no one to
talk
reach
about
out
it, bro.
to, man.
What would that look like for you, man? Suicide. Fuck. I mean, I've been there a few times myself. Yeah. Also found my mother through suicide at the age of 14, man. Shit. So and that was horrific. Yeah. So man, this come from suicide, and so I share the same sort of passion with you there, bro. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like I think I said,
not passion. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
I know. I know what you're passion
saying,
to help and support it.
Yeah. Well, we talk about hitting rock bottom, and that can inspire us. Yeah. But that age from about 17 onwards, and living that lifestyle, even if I wasn't close to suicide, I just didn't want to be here. So even though I wasn't actively, trying to end things, I didn't want to be here for so many years, man. Like a good chunk of my adult life, I lived like that. I just didn't want to be here. Would have been happy if I didn't wake up in the morning. But there were a few times, probably 2 times in particular, where I came very, very close to ending it. And that's part of that community, where if somebody's in that position.
And what got you through it? Like what got you through that, bro? I could see it's pretty. It touches you. Obviously,
it's not something I really talk about very often either. But I'm always open. I'll talk about anything. But it was so long ago, I haven't really touched on it in a while. So it's definitely
still there,
digging something up for sure, man. Yeah. I'm not even sure what got me through it. I just think that tough resilience within me, which is probably not something I really recommend.
And that you're meant to be here today.
Yeah.
I mean, you just weren't fucking meant to go then, you know?
Yeah.
It's a hard one, that, actually, because you're like, do we take our own lives, or is it just that's the time that we've fucking gone, or,
Yeah, I think my thought process was I was in so much pain, I just wanted to end. That's all it really was. Yeah. I just wanted it to stop. If there was another way to do it, I would have chosen that, and that's all of it. Like I said, I didn't have access to any of this stuff. Didn't know anything about it. Yeah. And that's where my mindset was. I just had enough, man. I'm spent. I can't do this anymore. I needed to stop.
Yeah.
So that's where my mindset was at.
Yeah. Fuck, man, it's a pretty heavy place, bro. I relate to it, man. Like, you go through it, and it's just bullshit. Like, because you're sort of sitting there going, fuck, I'm just sick of fucking struggling and feeling this way, man. Like, I'm not even enjoying life, And it's what is hell? It's fucking hell on earth, you know? But there is the other side through it, And it's not to say, I think like that whole morning routine, waking up, and I like how you regulate yourself, because not every day is fucking roses.
No.
So like that is important. Like, fuck, I'm having a shit day.
Exactly.
And I do all this breath work and fucking eat healthy and exercise and, all the rest of it. But today is a shit day. And I think it's okay to actually just sit there and go, and that's okay. I'm
100%.
having a shit day.
100%.
You know, it's when we have that resistance towards it, going, fuck, I'm feeling shit, I've got to do this, got to do that. You know, it's like, no, fuck off, man. Just have a shit day.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine.
Put so much fucking pressure on ourselves to be okay.
Yeah.
But it's okay not to be.
Yeah.
And that's the fucking truth of it.
Yeah.
And like, if you're sitting at a 50% for that day and you give 50%, you've given your 100.
Yeah.
You've given your all. So that's how I look at it as well.
True.
Like, yeah.
And how crazy is it when you have that mentality on it? You go easy on yourself.
Exactly.
It's all right, Dave. You're having a fucking cunt of a day.
Yep.
Showing
You know?
yourself compassion. It's so
Yeah.
important.
But how crazy is it then the day goes good?
Yeah.
Hey, so like,
Yeah.
fuck it, today actually turned out to be a good day.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
touched on something then as well. Like, as soon as we're not feeling okay, it's like, oh, fuck, now I need to go do that. I should do that. I need to do that.
Fix it, right?
We've got to fix it.
Yeah.
No, you don't. There's nothing to fix. You've just got to move through
Yeah.
what's coming up for you, or figure out what you need, where you're not meeting your own needs. I think that's the biggest thing that I went through recently, and which I'll talk into, is my abandonment wounds. That's what came up for me massively this last couple of months.
What does that look like, bro? Talk about it.
Oh, like
It's my job, man.
yeah, like realizing that, like, because during my childhood, like, my mum and dad separated when I was young, but then it was for a couple of years they got back together. But during that time, my dad was with another woman, had another she had kids as well. So I was seeing my dad with another family, and then there's all these self-worth things that were there. All of that was all there. And then, yeah, after that, my sister was born, like literally probably a year after mum and dad got back together. And then that whole dynamic changed, and it was just, a lot of change happened back then when I was a kid. And not until recently, I realised how much of an impact that has actually been having on me, like my own self-worth and the abandonment. I was abandoning myself and my own needs behind that. So, and yeah, it was really driving some behaviours as well, like seeking external validation, from others.
That's huge, bro.
Because of that abandonment, saying, because I don't want to be that good boy, I want to be told I'm doing the right thing and all that sort of stuff. And that's where I've come to a place of peace and acceptance, that the person that in here I'm proud of, and the only person who needs to validate me is me. And that was a massive shift for me recently, and letting go of those wounds it wasn't easy. Don't get me wrong, I had to dive deep. There was, probably 2 big breathwork sessions and a lot of integrating behind that to really get to a place of where I am now. But talking to someone we've spoken before, is you can tell yourself you're okay. The mind is very powerful. The mindset work is, don't get me wrong, I'm not discrediting it at all. But when there's that much in the body that you haven't cleared, it's just going to come up again and again and again. And it might not come up as emotions. It starts coming up as behaviours and patterns and things you don't realise you're doing until you go, hang on a minute, why is that making me feel that way? So certain actions people were taking, and I was like, hang on a minute. Why do I care? Why is that making me feel that way? Until I actually connected with that and got to the core of why I was feeling that, then all of it let go, and then the mind naturally followed. Then the mind comes to a place of acceptance and peace and forgiveness.
So just in that moment, man, so we just talked about, like, you're waking up, you regulate, and you're saying I'm feeling shit, and we're going, okay, that's okay. And that is okay. Then the next morning you wake up, you're feeling the same, and then again. Fuck, I'm not drinking. I'm doing breath work. I'm going for walks. I'm going for runs. I'm still feeling this way. Is this the point where you got to go, fuck, I need to go a little bit deeper in some breath work? There's something that's regularly happening here,
100%.
because you shouldn't be feeling shit every fucking morning, especially if you're doing the work. Well, at least looking after yourself and to some extent.
Yeah, you want to see results. 100%.
Yeah, if you're waking up fucking hungover every morning, then, but so because that's super important as well. I think at that stage that's when you're like, fuck, man, this is like 3-4 mornings in a row now. I'm feeling pretty shit.
Yeah.
Can't really work out what it is, but I'm feeling fucking rat shit.
Yep.
Put your hand up.
Yep.
And I guess this is where the starting line came up for me with my charity. It's like, fucking just come up to the starting line, man. Yeah, okay, you don't know what it is, just get to the starting line. We've got all the resources, we've got the community, just get there and away we go, So breathwork is massive. I'm just going to your personal story that you're talking about there.
100%, bro. Yeah. That's exactly what I did. So I did one breathwork session, and I cleared some of it came up, and I was like, all right, so that's what it is. Then a couple of weeks went past, and I'm like, nah, I still got this this ick feeling. You can feel it. You know it when it's in you, especially when it's down in those lower regions where that deep stuff is. You can feel it. You just don't feel right. And it was like, nah, I gotta go deeper into this. And then, like you said, just put all that avoidance and resistance to the side and go all in and just lean all the fucking way in and just go for it. And yeah, that's what I did. And come out the other side and there we go. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And then the days and weeks after that, and things start to come back up again. But it all comes down to integration as well. That's where the self-talk and the gratitude and that stuff all comes in, looking after yourself and making sure you're meeting your own needs is the biggest thing.
A lot of the workshops that like even we're doing a men's workshop on love you boys to come actually. It's on the 9th of September. 8th of September, sorry, Sunday, the 8th of September at Good Vibes. We actually got TikTok Gary coming over from Melbourne. He's going to be doing a bit of a talk, and then I've got like Liam from Amend Movement. He's going to do a little bit. We're going to do a 9D breathwork as well. But it's just going to be an all men's event. I don't know where I was going with that, but on the intention card, it's we're going to have what is it that you came here to let go of, but what are you going to welcome into your life? Because I feel like when you let go of something,
you're making space.
Yeah, and making that space, it's that integration of going, okay, well, this is the new thing that I'm bringing into my life as well. I'm feeling that as well. No, like, is that happening with hypnosis and things? And like if you're changing a way that, like, okay, so I've sort of found that like when you've released something, or you got rid of an old belief that you've got to replace it, or that pinch thing, I guess, is another thing.
Yeah, I believe you do need to replace something because otherwise you've got this time. It's like when a smoker generally gives up smoking, they go to food because they keep their hands busy because it was their hands that was doing the cigarette. So, yeah, essentially you've got to find something different, but it's like healthy vices.
Yeah.
In a sense. So you got your not so healthy vices, the drugs, the alcohol, what was the big one for me as well? A lot of shopping, a lot of online shopping. I didn't need any of this shit. But I was buying shit all the time. Gambling, all these sorts of things. You've got to replace it with something else. But then it's about finding something that's going to serve you, but also keeps you happy, keeps you in the right direction. Yeah.
Which is another interesting topic, man. It's like, what is right and wrong, man? Like, I mean, is gambling really bad? Is alcohol bad? Smoking? I mean, I know smoking, like in terms of health, and it's to what level you're doing it to. Yeah. And also what effects it's having of your life. I understand all that sort of stuff, but one thing I'm still trying to navigate through it is like drinking. Like I love to have a social beer. If anything, like I love going down to the pub and having a couple of beers and having a yarn and stuff like that. But there's another part to me just going, fuck, I have this battle. It's sort of like, because I gave up drinking for quite a period of time as well, which was a long period of time considering my habits that I had before I gave it up. But now I'm sort of having this sort of battle with myself of like what's right and wrong, you know?
I suppose there's a good balance, and it's maybe ask yourself why. If it is, you're happy to go and socialize with your friends, that's a good intention, right? But if it's masking or coping, trying to deal with something, maybe not. And is it affecting your life in a bad way?
Yeah. In what way is it serving you or not serving you?
Yeah. Like, are you still showing up the next day? Yeah. And doing what you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people can do it, some people can't.
Definitely.
Yeah. True.
And it's still about living life too. Like you're
having some fun,
and we're on this. We don't know how long we're on this life for. You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't know how long you're here for, so it's about still having fun and enjoying yourself. And like I said, it's that relationship you have with it. The why is really why are you doing what you're doing? Yeah. Everything can be unhealthy. The healthy stuff can be unhealthy if you're addicted to
True.
it.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah. And I sort of feel like that, man. It's like fucking even, I'm having a good reflect of myself, and I'm sort of like, man, it's almost like I've stopped having fun. Like in a way, like, I'm having fun going to the workshops and building this community and all this work that I'm doing. And it's like, but fuck, man, like, what are you doing for yourself? When's the last time you actually had a fucking laugh?
And I think that's really common in this healing journey. That can become your identity.
Yeah.
And that can become unhealthy as well. It's really important to okay, yes, I've got this stuff to work on, but not get too caught up in that as well, and still live your life and have fun. It's really important. Like I said, it can become an identity. I feel like it was it for me. Like I said, I dove all the way into it, and it kind of became like a full-time job. And then it became like my whole life was like, what else can I do? Like, okay, I've got this day free. Well, I can't have that day free. I've got to use that to better myself and work on myself, and I've got to heal. And and it's that, was it hedonistic hamster wheel or whatever they call it?
Yep.
You can really get caught in that cycle as well.
True.
So it's super important to, yes, do the healing work, but everything in balance. That's
I was finding
something
even
I've
when
tried to
stuff
learn.
was coming up that I'd normally suppress with alcohol or drugs or whatever you want to call it. I was suppressing it with, I'll do a breathwork session, or I'll do or I'll listen to an audible, just something to drain out what's trying to actually come up,
Yeah.
And I don't want that to contradict what we're saying, but like it was like a big tool is to just sit with your thoughts
Sit
while
with
it's
yourself.
coming
It
up.
sounds so simple.
Yeah.
But it, yeah.
And I think maybe the step before that is getting those tools, like we talked about before, having those tools in your toolkit, so then you can sit with it, and that's more of it. But you can become to the point where you're not feeling everything in everyday life, and then you go, well, I'm doing a breath work every 2 weeks, so that's my time to feel. But it's not really what it's about. It's really about building your capacity, your window of tolerance for life, and then going through those ups and downs. And you got some heavy shit that you're starting to feel you can't move through, like we touched on. Then, book in a session.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, you can get addicted to that side of things as well.
And also just feel like I need a bit of connection, man.
Yeah.
I know as fathers, you feel a little bit guilty about going to some of these workshops,
100%.
And I know with the Amend workshop that they talk about prioritizing yourself as being like, where do you sit on the list? Is it your children, your work, your wife? And then it's you're fourth down the list. And then if you're fourth in the list, well, then everyone else is only getting their fourth best dad
Exactly.
or partner, and it's about prioritizing yourself. Get to the top. There's nothing wrong with being at the top.
Yeah, you can't fill from an empty
It's
cup.
not
Yeah.
selfish.
Nah, not at all.
Or even if it is seen as selfish, it's like it's a
Net-
necessary selfishness, because
Correct.
in as long as you're not hurting anyone or in the ones around you, you need to get yourself up there so that then you can give more to them. You've got the time, you've got the capacity.
That's important. If
So
you're doing it healthy.
Yeah.
You say, no, I'm going to the fucking pub every night because I'm putting myself first.
Yeah. That's me filling up my cup. No, that's filling up your fucking pint.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I might just wrap it up there, boys, because we've got so. This is the thing with this podcast, man. Like we can talk hours and hours on it.
we can.
But before we close it off, is there anything that I've missed, particularly about what you guys are doing and promote? Because I want to promote you boys. I think it's fucking amazing. And for those who have got this far into the podcast and want to learn more, I'll have all these details, all your guys' details up on my website, and I'll put it in the link into the YouTube link underneath where we can get access to you guys and your workshops and whatnot and your personal profiles. But I don't know, is there anything you guys want to sort of finish with that we might have missed, or
I just want to say to anyone that's listening out there, just the biggest step, can be absolutely the hardest. But once you take that and you get the people around you, they'll help propel you in the right direction. You get out of that fixed mindset and you can move into that growth mindset. And I don't know about you guys, but once you get in that growth mindset, it doesn't stop. You just want to keep growing. You want to be a better person. You want to be a better father, a better sibling, a better son, whatever it might be. And you just want to show up better. And the more that you can do that for yourself, you change yourself and your world around you will change. So lean into it, boys.
I appreciate that, Josh, man. That's actually beautiful, and it does. You even start reflecting back like, fuck, I can't believe I used to think that way. Sometimes,
Yeah.
And I guess that's it. It takes us back to what we said right at the start about that education and getting those resources out there, learning and
Exactly, brother. Exactly that. And just lean in. That's my number one advice to anyone is lean in. You got to feel the fear and do it anyway, because fear will keep you held where you are right now.
True.
And you're doing yourself a disservice and the people around you.
Yeah, definitely, man.
So I'll just say it's worth it. If you're out there and you're struggling, it's worth it. There is magic on the other side. And I won't pretend it's going to be easy. Like it won't be. It'll be fucking hard. But it's so fucking worth it.
Yeah.
Diamonds are made under pressure.
Yeah.
100%.
And this is the beautiful thing about this podcast, man. You get all the and we spoke about it. Well, you spoke about it before. Is like we're all different. We're all the same, but we're all come from different walks, got different things. And I appreciate your guys' honesty and time on this podcast, because I'm sure that you know, the people that are going to watch it, they're going to resonate with one of us or all of us.
Yeah.
And for them, you know, that, and this is what it's about. If we can change one life, save one life,
It's worth it.
yeah, just growth. And it's not to say we're fucking perfect by any means, but you know, we're just here to.
We're going to the pub now, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we normally do. Yeah.
But in all seriousness, like, there's nothing wrong with doing these things. It's balance.
Yeah.
Everything's got to be just balancing things out and seeing what serves you, what works for you, and what supports your family and your friends around you.
Yeah. And trial and error.
Yeah.
Like, there's no
cookie
right
cutter.
or
There's
fucking
no
wrong.
cookie cutter method either.
No.
Yeah.
No, there is no
You know, I
right
feel
or wrong.
like there's always like, I got to do good. No, fucking give things a crack. I mean, you got, we won't bring up the topic, but you guys brought up something before this podcast. No, that was a good thing. Yeah, it fucked up. You got negative things about it, but like, it's all good.
Yeah. 100%.
100%.
Yeah. And give it a fucking crack.
Yeah.
100%.
Exactly. Everything happens for a reason.
And it's okay if it doesn't go the way that you planned it. Sometimes it's important, and sometimes you need to take a step back so that you can then propel yourself forward. Sometimes it's good to have that little reminder.
And we have an aversion to failure too. No one likes to fail.
Yeah.
But our biggest lessons come from our losses when they do our wins.
So how we learn. I honestly believe every experience, every person we meet, everything that happens to us, we either get a lesson or a blessing out of it.
Yeah.
But it's what we want to take out of it, so that we can sort of. And if the same things keep happening over and over again, well, clearly something's got to change, so you can pattern interrupt that.
Yeah. I'm going to finish it with this. So we got a gala coming up on the 9th of November at the Canfield. It's a wellness gala. It's going to be fucking awesome. We've got some really good guest speakers coming, and we're raising money for the charity, The Starting Line, and we've got some exciting things that we're going to be doing there. Can we do a hypnosis segment there, man? Up on stage? Like, is this
looks like
doable?
we're going to now? That'll be my
Are you gonna be the guest?
I can be the guest. I'd rather it be somebody else.
What we'll do, that we can discuss it offline, but yeah, we'll do a bit of a trance for the whole crowd,
Audience.
see who we want to pull out.
Yeah, sweet, man. I think that's great, bro. It's going to happen. Well, thanks for coming on, boys. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure I'll have you guys on again. I'd love that. Like, the doors are always open here to fucking Real, man. If you've ever got a message with something more, you got to share.
Yeah, let's do a part two, man. 100%. Thanks for having us. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
We love everything that you do.
Thanks, bro.
Your values and everything that you do align exactly with us. So thanks for having us on. Appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you supporting Rise Up too, man.
Yeah.
You showing up was it was a real honour to have you.
I'll be back, man.
Really,
I'll
really
look forward to having
Thanks,
you back, man.
Thanks,
But
boys.
it shows you're doing the work too.
Oh,
Like,
100%.
We can't just talk about these things. We've got to do them too. So yeah, 100%.
Hey, just on that note as well, another part of the starting line is don't. I'm trying to take. Don't let the money be the problem of you not doing this work.
Yeah.
It's huge, you know. Like and I get it. Like, even what I'm going through, you know, like, money's tight.
Yeah.
And it does sometimes restrict you, but I don't know what you guys are like, but like, man, just reach out to me, reach out to somebody. There is money out there. These doors aren't going to close on you if it's funds that are going to stop you. If you need the work, reach the fuck out, man.
And
That's why we're doing it's a
Yes,
nominated fee as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, true.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
why we
yeah.
did that,
Fuck, that's awesome.
because of that.
Yeah,
It's not why we're in this.
Yeah.
We're in this to help.
Well, just on that note, I want to, because I done a minimum, I think, or I can't remember what I done, but like, at the time, like, because at the moment, if I'm being honest, like, I've had to sell my car, fucking everything, man, to keep doing what I'm doing. Even this podcasting gear was going to have a value on it at some point, but you know, that is fucking awesome. You guys do that. It just goes to show where your values are. You know, it is about money. I do feel like everything should be a gift or an exchange, and because the energy and the time and the efforts you put into running those workshops. So it's super important that you charge.
Yes.
But I fucking love it that you that you had this bracket of like minimum or high. You know, to allow those who absolutely fucking need it. To get through those doors, man, to get the work done. Yeah. So that, like, it's great, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We didn't even pay ourselves out of that event. We're going to let it build up to help us keep building, so
Cool.
we can pay for the venues
Exactly.
and the content that we create
Yeah.
and whatever. But there's a little piece in like it's if you do something for free, generally you won't fully show up. But if you got to pay $100, let's say it's like, not for this, but 100. Someone will always show up because I've got skin in the game now. I've got to show up. I've got to be there. So you know,
well, I've done a pay as you feel event.
Yeah.
Where I had, and I'm going to say this. So I've done a pay as you feel event, and we had Luke Kalani. He come and done sound healing. We had we done Steve. We've done 9D Breathwork. Even Bryce come over from Melbourne for it. What else we do there? We had Shivani there doing a bit of movement. We brought cacao, fruit, everything. It was a pay as you feel, and I think out of 50 people that went there, it was just under maybe 45. We raised $270. So I'm thinking you got to have a minimum there, because people will, So like and also people were buying tickets, man, not showing up. I think
exactly.
So
that can
Skin in the game.
Skin in the game, and that can take a space away from someone
Skin in the
who
game,
does really want to be there. So
because
we do have limited spots, we want to keep it a pretty tight community.
Tight, intimate, and in integrity with safety.
Yeah, that's big on us for having a 5-to-1 ratio facilitator per breather, so that we can give people the attention that they need.
Yeah,
it's very important.
Yeah,
love it.
Cool. All right, off to the pub. Thanks, boys.
Thanks for having us.